Welcome to Humans, a documentary, where we examine the social behaviors of neurotypicals from the perspective of someone with mild Asperger's. I'm your host, Kyle Eschen, and I am a real human being. I'll try and find the explicit rules that govern the social realm, both to help my fellow Aspies and also to help my overly friendly AI Herbert pass the Turing test. Today we'll continue our investigations into the world of humor and laughter. Why do we hyperventilate when amused? Today's hypothesis emerged after I encountered a quote from W.H. Auden. Among those whom I like or admire, I can find no common denominator, but among those whom I love, I can. All of them make me laugh. This observation resonates. My flock and I don't have the same personalities, hobbies, or lifestyles, but on humor, we're all aligned. Does humor predict compatibility? And if so, why? Waddle alongside me to the offices of superstar academic Bertha Shujow so that we can collect evidence that exclusively confirms my priors. No. You're the best. Lyle? Kyle? I was hoping that this wouldn't come up so early in this series, but unfortunately it has. I have a twin brother named Lyle. We don't talk much, but that's not out of hostility. Am I right? We were all thinking it. We just have different values, I suppose. Last year, Lyle founded a tech company called Chainblock, a startup that uses blockchain to trade chains of blocks. Within minutes of seeing the prototype, he received $7 billion in funding, paid entirely in state quarters. Ooh, New Jersey. And I'm happy for him. He chose the business life, and I chose the creative life. And there is no one way to add value to the world. What are you doing here? I'm using my vast wealth to create the Lyle K. Eschen Foundation to fund research into topics that I think will have high returns to society, like game-theoretic models of humor. I'm thinking of giving a grant to Bertha, as her previous funder committed suicide last August. Allegedly. Ah, DJ Khaled, the maestro himself. I'm gonna have to take this as we're collaborating. DJ, mommy. DJ Khaled, we're collaborating. Please feed me evidence that we use laughter to find potential friends, partners, and significant others. Potential co-authors. Oh, okay. Well, I've never thought about it before, but it makes sense. This vast array of humorous phenomena are unified in the signal that they send. Through laughter, people reveal their shared dispositions, backgrounds, which norms they think could be violated, and which norms they think are sacred. All relevant information when trying to predict compatibility. Recall the performance of critically acclaimed comedian Horatio Bagg. Bagg impersonates controversial presidential candidate Howard Schultz. The room erupts in laughter, an enormous amount of social information is exchanged. Those laughing signal to the others that they agree with that epic takedown of candidate Schultz. We see who the Schultz supporters truly are. We see who's offended by the joke. And those private beliefs are now out there. We know what others think, and furthermore, we know that everyone knows. And we know that everyone knows 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 ad infinitum. And that common knowledge helps the timid realize their taboo belief is actually widespread. And with this safety in numbers, they can form alliances and take down their enemies. Laughter serves as a call to arms for all of those that share your worldview, and all of its correlates. You could tell a lot about a person by whether or not they support Howard Whipple Schultz. We're not supposed to have politics on this show. He is trying to caffeinate the water supply, and I will not be silenced. All I'm saying is that there are stereotypes associated with the priorities and values and taste and judgment of Schultz supporters and Schultz detractors. To the extent that you believe those stereotypes, laughter is a visible proxy for traits that are otherwise difficult to discern in a brief period of time. By seeing how someone responds to a controversial joke, we can use stereotypes to make other assumptions about their traits and filter our circles accordingly. So, are you saying that it's okay to judge people by stereotypes? No, I'm not making a moral judgment. I'm just describing human beings as I see them, flaws and all. And as a professional sociologist, I can keep my values and my research separate. Shujal's idea explains controversial humor, but it doesn't explain the huge swaths of humor that have nothing to do with taboos. Although it has been mathematically proven that a sufficiently determined think piece writer can always wring political invective out of anything. But for us less discerning simpletons, we need a more expansive theory of humor, a more human-centered approach. I decided to visit the offices of the man I knew that was most credentialed in the realm of human experience. Shujal's approach seems needlessly clinical, if you ask me. That isn't what I asked you. But that's what I want to talk about, which is why I need to usurp the show for myself. Your approach was getting tedious, and it's only episode 3. Come on, Mike, let's shoot elsewhere. Kyle, the show was a good idea. It was a great idea. Kyle, you will soak up in the credibility of your interview guests. The other day I encountered a quote from C.S. Lewis, author of the beloved children's book The Loin, the Witch, and the Ward. The quote, "Friendship is born the moment when one man says to another, 'What? You too? I thought no one but myself.'" Auden thought that laughter predicted friendship, which Lewis believed was born from the revelation of a surprising overlap of previously concealed belief. Therefore, through some twisted syllogism, we can discern that all humorous phenomena emerge solely through the desire to connect. Look at him, pecking at the screen like some sort of man-chicken. I am easily impressed by ostentatious oration. Maybe I'll fund him as well. More funding for him means less funding for me. I have to stop him. Inside jokes take this form. Mere references, sans cleverness of any sort, serve as rallying cries for those who have observed what you've observed, or are drawn to the same overlooked details, or share your exact flavor of doubt or annoyance or frustration, or drum your tribal drums at an agreeable rhythm. That surprise connection is enough to trigger that beautiful, melodious sound, that joyful cry of relief that we are synced at greater depths than previously suspected. Mic me while I'm driving. In 5 minutes' time, I'm going to be quite grateful that you've been enlightened. There's nothing more precious in the world than information. Tube's conception is too simplistic. If everybody laughs at a reference, then we don't glean any information about the individuals who laugh. Rare signals convey more information, more surprise, than common ones. For instance, say a coworker just references something that everybody enjoys. Like chain block, one of the few things in this country that unites right and left, religious and secular, homophobes and homophiles. Everyone knows about chain block, and such knowledge is common knowledge. The ability to reference chain block doesn't signal anything. Anyone can do it. However, let's say that you participate in some obscure cult, hobby, or subculture, like individuals who watch this show. To enjoy such an atrocity, one must have a strange blend of entertainment preferences. You must like human behavior described at a sociopathic level of abstraction, while also not caring that said abstraction is divorced from any degree of academic rigor or credibility, while also having an endless tolerance for nauseating formulaic reliance in meta-humor and self-deprecation, while also being aroused by shows that confuse verbiage for insight. That intersection encompasses a small sliver of humanity. That means references to humans is very unlikely to get a laugh. This jalapper doesn't even know the difference between mutual and common knowledge. But on the rare occasion that it does, it sends an information-dense signal. And because sender and receiver are now reciprocally aware that the other likely possesses that rare combination of already eccentric dispositions, they can form alliances and take down the opposition. That's the appeal of running jokes, by the way, or callback humor, or tropes or illusions, or even memes when the setup was withheld. And by laughter, upvote, or retweet, people reveal that they too know the setup, as they have tunneled down the same rabbit holes of reality. Tube. Don't worry, that was a decoy. Follow me. So great is humor's ability to cohere that friends, families, teams, and even entire organizations regularly develop repertoires of references and inside jokes to continually remind their peers of their common history. The deeper and more obscure the joke is, the more shared context required to understand it, the more tightly the reference binds. And I can prove this using the strictest methodological standards of the social psychology profession. You there, sir. Yes, you. Did my monologue describe your experience? I guess so. And you? 2 data points, and already it's published in a leading academic journal. Now that there's a published paper, we can wrap this episode up. But we can't end the episode until you tell us how you escaped the ropes. The ropes fell off once I realized that they were just a metaphor for the self-limiting stories I tell myself. Anyway, to get back on topic, Herbert, the next rule of human behavior. People use humor and laughter to signal shared worldview, values, and dispositions so that they can carefully cultivate their flocks of like-minded sycophants. Well, I guess that makes sense. But as the great writer Fred Mexico teaches us to ask, what's the practical value behind that insight? I don't know, Herbert. What is the practical value? I've been swayed. I think we can safely say that we've totally figured out humor. We can now move on to more important subjects. Why do we blink? Is it to attract mates? You're not done with humor. Your theory lacks nuance. Mike, don't you dare cut to her. You're gonna have to come over here. If you want to say something, you're going to have to come over here. Come over here. There's nuance to be added. There's nuance to be added. Hurry up. I don't want to step on another tarantula hawk. There's nuance to be added. What I'm saying is that there is nuance to be added. You still haven't explained why humor needs surprise, why jokes get old, and why they cycle so quickly in and out of fashion. My boredom with this topic has already reached clinical depths. The theory needs extension. If laughter is a signal to summon like minds, what happens when that signal gets corrupted? What happens when it enters the mainstream? What happens when your inside jokes, your memes, your symbols get appropriated by the basics, who regurgitate them without your level of understanding or experience? The basics? Yes, the basics, the most important concept in all of sociology. We'll come back to your level in due time, but first you must permit me a parenthetical. Open parenthesis. Please join us for Humans, Episode 4, Counter-Signaling and the Sociology of Being Basic. Like, subscribe, whatever it is that you do. Hi, I'm Lyle Eschen, entrepreneur, philanthropist, dreamer, and this is an important public service announcement. In conjunction with my foundation, I'm raising money through Patreon to help sufferers of asymmetric sibling achievement syndrome, an emotionally crippling disease that manifests when one sibling is massively more successful than the other. I'd like to extend my thanks to donors who are supporting current sufferers of this chronic and humiliating affliction. If you'd like to donate as well, the link to the Patreon is in the description and the top comment. Thank you.